All right. Welcome. Today we have something which we think is pretty exciting to show. We're going to talk about and discuss the new capabilities around the checkout funnel in Crystallize. My name is Bård, and I have with me Vasil.
Hi, everyone.
And let's just jump into it and
Do it.
start by considering, I would say, what do we mean about the checkout funnel, right? What does this mean? So
I know
here,
this. I know this
you know
website.
yeah, it's a good one.
Let me get it and try to see what you're doing, and then probably I can replicate.
Yeah. So this is essentially one of our accelerators, and basically what I'm going to show is just a simple checkout process here, right? So I'm adding stuff to the cart, which means I have an active cart. I'm adding my details, and proceed to payment. So now I've updated the cart with my customer information, but I've also locked the cart because you can't change it after you started the checkout process, meaning that you can't have the payment open in one window and then have the basket in another and keep adding stuff after you've started the payment. And then I confirm the payment and complete the order. So that is what we mean by the checkout funnel. And what we have for you today is a new capability in Crystallize, where basically we have a new dashboard, which is the checkout funnel. This is using the shop API, Vasil, yeah?
Yep, that's correct.
And we can see here, okay, we have a couple of Vasil and myself have done some orders here. But
I just followed your steps.
you just completed an order here. But let's start at the top and explain here, because we have 4 states here that we display. Maybe you can help me explain the different types.
That's actually the dashboard, as Board said. And what we are looking here first, maybe at the top right corner, you see that we are currently top right at toolbar. We are currently real time. That means in real time, if something happens, the dashboard will update immediately and reflect the change. And that's what actually happened when me and Board, we completed the checkout and went through all the steps of the checkout. Then the data was shown here in the dashboard. And the stats that we have at the top really explain the checkout funnel, as Board said. First, starting with the active cards. That means when we're on a website and we start looking at different products, at the moment we decide to add a product to the cart, that's when actually the cart becomes active for us, right? And this is the first number that you see here at the top left corner. So these are currently the active carts on our website. That means people are currently looking at the website, they are adding items, removing, all of that just happens. Then moving further down the funnel, we have the started checkout. And this is the moment when the cart is actually placed. That means the cart is locked. The person went through kind of filling in all the personal information, and then now it's ready to move to a payment. So before we move to payment, we lock the cart, and that's where actually starting the checkout that's the step when this happens. And from there we're moving. So once the payment is completed, then the cart is we call it kind of a more technical term, ordered. And that's when the checkout is completed. That's kind of the next number that you see here on the screen.
And that's basically when the order is taken from a completed cart and placed in Crystallize as an order, right?
Yes.
So the fulfillment process basically can start.
Yeah. And kind of that's summarizes the funnel, started with the active cards, then moving through the started checkout and completed checkout. And of course, as part of the funnel, we have the carts which are just left alone, or these are the abandoned carts. Yeah, and they are displayed over there as Bort said. This happens, Bort, correct me if I'm not wrong, every 1 hour.
Yeah, so it's 1 hour by default where the cart is set to stale and becomes abandoned. But you can configure it. On each cart, you can actually provide the time to, or stale time to live. So that, let's say you're selling different types of products. Let's say like maybe you're selling expensive furniture, which has maybe a checkout process of perhaps 3 days in average, right? Because it's there adding, configuring, thinking, considering, and then you might have some inexpensive products in addition that people just go and buy, maybe some fabric cleaning stuff, right? 10 euros, and then you can have a different time to live on that cart.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. So that's the top. We also had the possibility to define either all currencies or specify one. If you specify one, you also get the gross numbers and what the value of the carts in checkout and that have completed are. These are now shown in real time, as Vasil said, and this is the stats for the last 3 hours, where you can have a 5-minute interval split of the activity on your carts. So running a campaign and watching this screen is kind of interesting. So that's the top. That's kind of the main stats for the carts, and then we have the cart activity, and we'll generate some activity here, but let's start with maybe doing a let's see if I just want to complete a checkout process here. So what I'm doing now is working with basically another browser and generating some data, which maybe you also might want to do. So you see I'm adding stuff to the cart. The cart is updated. Let's add something else.
That's the row that just popped on the top. Yes, over here. As you can see, this is actually one row is one cart. And first, when we start when the person starts actually adding items to the basket, we don't know who is the person. That's why here you see like there it says guest.
Yeah.
And the moment when the cart is placed, ready to move to checkout, then we already have the personal information, and then you're going to see actually the names as they are shown below over there for the next cart, for example.
Yeah, and now this was just me doing a manual processor, but here we have on this screen. Let me do something else. Because we would like to see some more data.
Maybe let's invite a bunch of friends and ask them to buy. Oh, it's already happening.
Yeah, there's stuff happening. So started I started a campaign.
Yeah.
Basically.
Wow.
So here you see this in real time. So everything is updating in real time. I think the top is refreshing every 5 seconds. And while the cart activity is proper real time. So it's happening immediately when things are being added to the cart. You see the development. Somebody's buying this Monstera. Maybe they are not completing it. You have others that are, hello, Crystallize live stream. Somebody is doing something here.
Real life, you cannot change that. It just happens.
Yeah. So basically, you see the updates in real time here, and you see which promotions are applied. You see the cart. If there's more than 3 products, there's a hover, so that you can see the contents there. So this is a nice screen that you can have when you have a multi-screen setup running a campaign. You can have this open on one of your screens. So it's a little bit addictive once you have activity on the web shop. And of course, you will also see the development here over time, where you have the abandoned carts versus the started and completed checkouts here.
What is interesting maybe here also to mention, Bart, is that we see also the promotions that are applied to the cart. As you can, there is a special column over there. And if there are multiple promotions applied to a single cart, you're going to get to see actually all of them. Another thing that is interesting is also these covers, which all of them, they are tied to a different stage of the funnel. Like, for example, the light blue cover are the active carts. Then the dark blue is the started checkout, and the green cover is completed checkout. So you can see that when something pops on the top with the green cover, you know immediately that this is actually a cart that was completed. So this is kind of a very quick visual hint of actually what's going on over there. And then all new activities are popping on the top, so it's very easy to follow actually what happens in real time.
Yeah. And also, once the order is completed, you actually have a link to the actual order if you wanna check it out.
Great.
That's the dashboard. It's pretty addictive again. And
maybe one question, Bart, before we switch, because what you showed just was the real-time updates. But like, how about if we want to see this data like a little bit back in the time? Let's say I want to see what happened yesterday, for example, or today, even like starting from the.
Yeah, so you can take a look at this on different intervals, and of course, then there is no real-time updates, but you can see all of the carts from that interval, and you can also check yesterday, for example, what was going on yesterday. Yeah, we had a campaign being run during the day, some activity in the evening, and we had 6,450 carts, 3,000 plus completed checkouts. It was a good day. We sold for 2.4 million on Furniture demo shop.
True that.
So this is very useful, and especially to get insights while you're running a campaign and kind of giving you real-time information on the process before the orders are placed. So this is nice. I like it, but this is the UI. We are headless, aren't we? So what about APIs?
Yeah, let's get a little bit nerdy maybe and look at some APIs and see actually how all of this was achieved using the Crystallize Shop API. Okay, so let me start here. What you see is the Crystallize GraphQL playground, where again we have all different APIs over here that you can take a look and use when you need them. And we're currently looking at the Shop API for the furniture tenant. This is the tenants where we have our eShop, where we were doing the shopping, and then we were looking at the dashboard in the Crystallize UI app. So the first thing that's kind of I would like to make here clear is that this is the cart/admin part of the Shop API for this specific tenant. And don't forget that this goes behind authentication. So you need the bearer token. In our website, there is like in the learn section, there is information on how you can get the bearer token. And then you need to use that actually to be able to perform queries and mutations on this API. Great. So what we are looking here, we are looking at the cards query. And let me just run it to make sure that we have it. Yes. The cards query, I will show it over here also on the side. So this is the cards query, and as you can see, it takes a bunch of parameters here that you can always use to adjust the results and ask for exactly the data that you need. I will just stop and kind of touch base a few which are the most interesting, I think, and then you can take a look yourself. So first, the first property here is states, and that's kind of described what are the states that I would like the cards that I fetch to be in either cart, or this is kind of the active state. Then we have abandoned. This is the cart when it's there, it's not used, then it moves into abandoned state. Placed cart, this is the started checkout, and ordered, this is when the cart is completed. The checkout is completed. And then, for example, over here we have this also updated after, which is ISO string in UTC describing after what time I would like to get the cards. And as you can see here on the screen, I have total hits of 1,200 cards with some additional information. So how can we get this information that we were showing, for example, on the screen with the bar chart, where we have these aggregates of every 5 minutes? Or let's start first at the top, where we have these aggregates of the total number of items per state. Here under the aggregates, we have a property which is called per state total hits, for example, over here. And when I run this, you see that, for example, for this time period after what I ask here is 12:30 UTC time, we have this information, right? And then it's very easy that you can build this top part of the dashboard where you get this information. There is an additional one which is called per state total gross, which will work only if you provide currency over here, and that's euro, unless it's yes, it's total state per gross, and we get all of this information for this currency, because we need to provide what's the currency. Otherwise, the shop API work with all currencies, and in most cases this will be one currency, so this is quite good. So let's look at actually how can we now build the bar chart, right, where we have this information per interval of, let's say, 5 minutes. To do that, we need to provide a parameter which is called include per time aggregates. And then over here we have per state and time total hits. And then there is something that I'm missing here, which needs to be true, of course. So once you run this, then we get per state and time total hits, which gives us exactly the information where we have this key, which kind of represents date and a time, and what's the information for that specific interval. And then you see here the next interval is like in 5 minutes, and then what's the information, and goes on and goes on. So this is very kind of easy way to actually get this aggregated data per state and per time. Yeah, just with one liner. Isn't this amazing?
So that means that I mean, the data is really easily available via this GraphQL query. But isn't that a lot of data to transfer if I'm going to pull this every second?
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of data, and it's a lot of computation. So that's why we thought actually that we need to build something that's real time and just gives you immediately a feedback if something happens with your eShop cart, right? For that, we came up with a new kind of endpoint, which is I will show it over here in Postman. So this is the shop API crystallize.com. It's exactly the same as before. The tenant and cart admin. This is exactly what you saw over here. This is the same endpoint, but the one that makes different is the /channel. And the /channel, this is a new endpoint that you can use, and the endpoint is using server sent events. So the client can subscribe to this channel, and when there is something, the server will push a new update to the UI. And this is the server sent events. It's very easy to work with them. The way that it works is very kind of common or very close to WebSockets for the people who know about it. There is an endpoint that we subscribed, and then we get a readable stream. And then every time when a new data arrives, we read the stream, we parse it, and then we can use that data. So let me maybe quickly show you how this works. So this is the API, and again, don't forget that this requires authorization. It requires a bearer token. I already have it here provided. So I will go and do that. And as you can see here, there are actually a lot of activities already going on behind the scene, because I've subscribed to the foreign eShop. And for example, over here we see that the event is cart abandoned, and then I get the full information about the cart, like which is the cart, what's the ID. I think more interesting actually are, for example, cart placed, for example, like this one over here. So this is a cart that we started the checkout, right? And then we get the ID, we get the complete information of which items kind of are in there, and all the information that we need for that, right? So then it's very easy that we can build this real time and follow when a cart was first placed, when it was first activated, then placed, and then ordered, and then in real time. And as you can see, while we're just talking here, what is happening on the background, what of people are buying, and then we get this real time. The whole implementation is very simple. It can be hooked with, of course, with GraphQL, but it could be hooked just with a simple fetch, with a lot of different ways that we can use the server-sent events. So this is how the real time of the Shop API is built, and /channel is the endpoint that you need to hit to get to it.
That's awesome. You can already play with it. We haven't actually linked it up in the menu yet. That will happen, I believe, tomorrow. But if you go on Insights and you just add checkout in the URL, you can actually check it out on your tenant right now. And do check it out. Let us know in our Slack community or add a commentary if you have any suggestions or feedback. Happy to hear that. That's it for today. Short and sweet. If you want to get notified, we do have a subscribe button that you can click on, and we will do another live stream next Thursday. See you then.
Yep. Bye.